Welcome to Energy Superheroes. In this episode, we dive into the new AI-powered science of exploration, including oil and gas, lithium, geothermal resources, and helium. Our guest is Denis Krysanov, founder of Hologic. He's a true entrepreneur who has built an innovative technology from the ground up that makes life more profitable and efficient for exploration teams looking for the world's most strategic resources. Tune in as we explore Denis's business journey, how he's helping customers remove risk and increase profits, some macro trends in energy, and the promise of AI-powered geoscience to reshape our energy future. This is Energy Superheroes. Denis Krysanov, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Hello.
So it's great having you on. You're an expert in geoscience, and your company's really cool. We're going to get into that as well as some macroeconomic trends as well as the future. But I'd love to hear your backstory. If you could tell us how you got into it, how you got started. I think it'll give the audience context for who you are.
Thank you, Peter. For me, it's really a great pleasure to participate here in this podcast. I'm not so often in the podcast, but I think it's time maybe to be more available for the public.
For sure.
I'm coming from quite an interesting country, which called Finland, and I started my career there, and I was working for oil and gas technological sector. We were constructing and repairing oil rigs, offshore rigs in Finland, and I've been little by little getting into technological side. And finally, I discovered that there are plenty of opportunities in oil and gas technological world. And I started to move on towards the innovations and building up interesting systems, which are automation and software development. That time, it was already many, many years ago, but it was my first step towards energy, towards changing the, let's say, common thought, common sense in energy.
No, very cool. So you started, sounds like, repairing some offshore infrastructure. I mean, did you physically have to go out there and do the repairs, or was it,
thanks. No, I not. But yeah, I visited quite much of this project. I've been traveling a lot, and I was dealing with the technological sector, like some special equipment, some integrations, and I was managing people, logistics, procurement, all that kind of stuff. So had to follow everything what is happening up there, the repairs, let's say, upgrade projects. And I've been traveling all around the world because, in oil and gas industry for offshore, you have to allocate certain technologies and you have to come and visit and test them. And that's what I've been doing. So I traveled all around the world globally to find those very, very important things that were then being used and installed in offshore rigs.
Yeah, that's neat. And people don't realize how dangerous the offshore industry is. I mean, there's just, it's very, let's call it high risk sector, high risk, high return. And most of it is, a lot of it anyway, is mechanical type of equipment, physical equipment. But now you're in software. Take us through sort of that transition where you move from being an expert in physical equipment to more a software-based approach.
Yeah, it's turned to be that I noticed many problems which are down there in oil and gas. And first problem, what I saw that it was very tough to identify resources, oil and gas resources. The second problem, what I saw was how to handle mature fields. And idea came just like this, that, okay, why not to start some new type of business where we would be more efficient than anyone else. And that's turned that I found one interesting technology which called helium surveying. It was a methodology which been used in Russia and Soviet Union times, that time a quite long time, for many years. They've been quite successful comparing to classic approaches. And at that time I thought that, okay, why not to pick up that technology, why not to acquire it and not to continue developing that. I saw that there is a huge potential. And the other thing what I did, I started with my co-partner, the first, I think we were one of the first teams to build hybrid oil field simulator based on machine learning. Now it's neural networks. And so we were like those pioneers. And it was very funny that time to present something to the potential customers when they will look at us like, okay, it cannot be done like this. I mean, it's not working. It's not going to be, now it's a different world. Everyone understands AI is here, and we have to be smart to be able to accept the things. We are living with them now. So nothing can be done without them.
That technology has come a long way. What was the process like to develop the software? How long did it take? It sounds like you had an idea and then you worked on it for a while. We take this word developed, and that usually happens over years, and people don't realize how hard the path is to get to a real commercial product.
Yeah, that's a long path. I would encourage everyone that you should, if you have some idea, be prepared for a long run. Never look for 3-4 years. I mean, it doesn't work. You know, we were quite optimistic, and we understood that we need to get good data. And that time, I mean, you couldn't generate so clearly a good synthetic tokens or data that just being used now quite widely. We had to go to the field. And we got really lucky with all of our technologies that we went to the field and were doing measurements, we were collecting I would say very valuable data and building our algorithms based on the field data that we collected. We were working for years. We started with the AI hybrid simulator, we started, I think, 10 years ago already. And that time it was something really completely new. With the helium surveying, I'm already in the business also around 10 years. And we started from nearly just technology, which was existing, but was very far away from any digital. So we had to turn it into the digital, and yeah, it took years. It took years, hard work. And what I'm happy for, we done this work without any investors. Our customers were our investors. They trusted us, believed that we are doing something big, something great, and that kept us away from all these investment markets. So we are currently at the situation when we have developed a technology, we learned technology, and we are ready for scaling up. And we are still, the ownership is in the founders' hands. That's, I think, one of the most important part for any technology, because many teams, what I see around, they lose their, let's say, drive when they give up to early investors' shares, and finally everything becomes a big mess. What I see, like from the stories around me.
There's many bad stories, especially in the energy industry, because it takes so long. Some of these
Thanks.
other cloud software may be quicker development path. You just throw a lot of engineers at it, you can do it quickly. But engineering, software engineering, or hardware in the energy industry takes a long time. And
Long time.
investors are impatient.
Yeah, of course. Sometimes we are also like innovators. We are not patient. We want to be fast, and we want to be quick. And yeah. I collected data myself. Like when we talked about going to the offshore rigs, yeah, I was not there, but for collecting data for my technologies, I was myself there. I've been in deserts, I was in jungles, I was in the open seas and oceans. I had it all. And I must say that for every innovator, if you are not involved deeply, if you don't go for this yourself and you don't suffer, I mean, you're not an innovator, you just, you may be developing something, but you have to feel it all. And I'm happy for that, passing through all these tough times, being on your own. In many cases, it helps you to understand what you're constructing and what is going to be your outcome. So we have experienced that, and I'm happy to say that it works. And when I say that it works, I know what I mean.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a big deal. That's why they call it the hero's journey, right? You have to go through that suffering point. I don't know if you're a Star Wars.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah. Suffering.
it's you got to go into Darth Vader's cave in order to come out the other side. So it is a hard, long journey being an entrepreneur.
True. And I'm happy to be an entrepreneur. I think that this is amazing opportunity in life when you can combine things, you can innovate, you can build something that changes the world. I'm happy to be part of that.
It's exciting. Well, I think that's a good transition into your company called Healogic. I'd love to know more about it. I think the audience would love to hear about it, and sort of how did the technology turn into a company, and what are your customers looking like? And we'll get into some other questions, but talk about Healogic.
We started Healogic, it was 2020. We already based the company on a methodology that I have acquired in Russia. Like I said before, we understood the problems of the technology, we understood limitations, and we wanted to go digital. So at this moment, Geologic is the only company in the world which is doing helium surveys. So we are surveying in the fields, we look for helium anomalies, which are indicators of different type of resources. So we built a system, like a field system for acquisition of the data. We built algorithms, we built teams, and we operate globally right now in different parts of the world and in different type of geologies. And we see that the signals that we are obtaining from the ground, helium signals, which are in our case digital signals, they are not just any signal which comes from the earth, we turn it into digital. They're bringing us so much of insights of different type of resources like oil and gas, helium, lithium in brines, geothermal reservoirs, helium reservoirs. And now we extended our technology into natural hydrogen reservoirs, which we're also looking. As all the world now moves towards this, we also have developed digital signals for this type of resource.
That's exciting. Let's start with just oil and gas, because oil and gas is so important to the global economy. It's everywhere. There's tremendous innovation in the oil and gas industry. There's been some challenges with investors in the space because large LPs have energy transition mandates. We're seeing family offices now want to invest in the oil and gas space, but that means that we have to be more cost effective, I think, in exploration. The traditional way of just throwing lots of resources at exploration, it might work for the oil majors, but for the smaller companies that want to go out there and discover new oil and gas reservoirs, how does your technology help them?
You know, helium is accumulated in great quantities in oil reservoirs and even in greater quantities in gas reservoirs. When we started works in the fields, we saw that there so many complications with measurement of the helium gas in subsoil. And we understood that actually when we are right, we can clearly identify the spot, where to drill, where to place your well. And within all these years, we've been pushing towards digitalization of the signals, towards automation of our systems. I mean, make it such way that you just come, you measure, and you know where to drill. So it's turned to be that we are changing the whole approach and exploration of different resources, and in our case, oil and gas. Because now you know that your oil or gas, which we can differentiate, again, because of the physics of the helium, we can pinpoint exactly the place for the drilling. Another question is to identify the depths, and that's what would be provided by other geophysical methods, like can be seismic or can be electromagnetic signal, easily like integrated into our data, and that's all. So it means that instead of all of these big explorational activities, processes, your huge investments into exploration, into prospecting first and then exploration, and in the dry drilling, which is huge, of course. In our case, it's very common to have dry wells. So now you see your hydrocarbons clearly, and you just need to identify the depths of your reservoir, of your trap. So we're changing the approach. We call it accelerated exploration. We call it even digital exploration, because now you can turn signals which are coming from the deep ground into digital data, and you can integrate everything together, and it can be much more faster. We're changing the, let's say, the type of companies that receive access to energy, to oil and gas, because now you don't need to be big and large. You can just do it with very sophisticated, of course, like complicated technology, what we have, like in terms of data processing, data collection, but from other side, fast and quick.
That's great. If you can do it, it would be great to touch on a case study of a customer. You may not have to mention the customer name, but it would be great to know, okay, this customer, it was a certain size company. They went into this general region of North America or some other place and used your technology. How long did it take them to get what they wanted to get out of it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was lucky that we started from, not from zero, not from the scratch. We started from the historical part where technology was widely used in Russia. And we had a lot of data that we also acquired together with the technology, with the patents. We understood that there's good list of customers which we should reach out and discuss with them about their experience. And it's turned to be that the large companies in Russia used this technology widely, small and large. So we built our strategy for the market the same way. We were really open always for all type of companies, because we understand that there's national oil companies that require to increase the speed of exploration. There are small companies that cannot afford dry drilling, for instance, or like too many dry wells, let's say. Yeah, because you always take into account in your investment plan some dry wells, of course. So we kind of been open for all type of customers, and we are lucky that we started from the onshore. We started with clients from many different countries, like all around. Just name it: Kazakhstan, Spain, Oman, UAE. I mean, we went to Malaysia for offshore, working for one of the largest helium survey project in marine environment. We proved that technology works for both small and large companies, depending on their targets. And currently, I'm now located in Argentina because I'm working on the South American part now. It's where we are super successful with many successful drills, and we're expanding quite much now here in this region. And I can tell you that the technology allows large companies to prospect very fast and quick. So now, if you are a large NOC, like we have NOCs from all around the world, some certain NOCs that have target, okay, let's prepare ourselves for seismic acquisition. Minimum signal will be the best, because you come, you do profiling through your entire block, or maybe a few blocks if you just easy. Just go and you see helium anomalies in certain locations. So now it's a good signal that hydrocarbons are there. Just go and place your seismic cruise and collect seismic data. You can collect 2D or 3D, depends on your budgets. And that's how big companies are using us. Also to increase, in many cases, seismic doesn't give you much of information. So to increase the quality of seismic, you add a helium signal, because seismic is your static data. So now you put dynamic part, which is helium, which is in our case a direct hydrocarbon indicator, but which will be showing exactly the hydrocarbon sign there. So now you increase your quality of seismic, and you can mature your prospect much easier and faster. The other thing what we do for large companies, we go by the grid and cover large territories, and we also say, okay, here is your prospect. It has hydrocarbons. Put your 3D seismic and drill. That's also possible, and that's what happens. With smaller companies, we usually work on the prospects already, because small companies, they usually, or they have some field, they want to have step out drilling, they want to have near field exploration. They have some prospects which been already selected by maybe previous owner, and they want to make sure that prospect has hydrocarbons. So in our case, with smaller companies, we come quite normal way that we come grid helium survey. We will measure by the grid. We will immediately see anomaly. We will squeeze our study to certain location, and then we will recommend where to set up the drilling rig. So that's about the small companies, and definitely we go for offshore. And in offshore environment, helium surveying is working perfectly. We already have our good experience, successful experience, up to depths of 200 meters water depths. So transit zones, shallow waters, 200 meters. We're looking at this moment for deeper water helium studies, which is like also deep and ultra deep, which is coming up as well soon. So we see that in different geological environments, different companies, we can help. But again, the question is that we have to change the mindset of geologists, the mindset of the procedures which are in the companies already existing for ages. That's, I think, number one part which we have to change to that everyone will be more successful in exploration.
Yeah, especially for bigger companies, right? You want to, when you approach, they have so much diligence they want to do on everything before they're willing to believe it. And it does take a long time to get through that process. I know that.
Yeah, right. And we faced with this all through all around the world. When you come up, to a client and we mention, okay, look, now we can do this and this and that. They say, no, you're not in our procedure list. We say, okay, so how we can be, integrated? And usually the answer is like, oh, you have to go to the Department of Innovations, you have to go to this and this. It takes usually 3-5 years. I said, okay, thank you very much. We don't have time, and probably you don't have either, because now what I see that it's global trend. They are firing geologists, they are firing geoscientists. And there is really unfortunate situation when I was coming a few years back and saying, look, use technology immediately, spread it around, let's move faster. You will get better results and you will have your job contract secured. But again, we are not in most of these big companies in the procedure list. So yeah, many of these geologists now they already been changing the companies or even being without job. Unfortunately, the situation is like this. Companies need discoveries, need new resources, new oil, new gas. And that's a tough situation. And I believe at this moment, helium surveying is maybe the only fast and quick tool to identify resource and the risk.
I have to ask because I'm based in the US. Have you done any jobs in the US?
Good question. We are coming to this.
You're in the right time zone down there in Argentina.
Yes, yes. Yeah, we are very close by. Let's do like this, that we have plans for US and we see that our technology would be widely used in US as well. But for that, we need mindset to be changed, because in US, I see like here in Argentina, like in other countries, less and less geologists that can work with conventional reservoirs. With conventional, yeah, that's a problem. You have more shale, you are concentrated in that part. It's very successful in US, good returns, all is good, but conventional is all around. You just need to go and be more precise, looking for something smaller than before. And it's there. And that's what is changing here in Argentina, little by little. We are bringing to them the concept. Okay, look for something small. With small money, you can identify something small and it will be super profitable for you. And I think in US, the same has to happen. You have to change the mindset that exploration can be expensive and can be difficult and high risk. No, exploration of oil and gas can be much cheaper than ever before. It can be much faster than ever before, and it can bring you money much more than you even thought. Because now you can differentiate, like what we do for our projects, whether it's oil or gas. You can, before you drill, you can already plan what you're going to do with this resource. That's, I think, something is missing in the world, that you just drill for something that you want and you see in your investment plan, and then you get something different and you don't know what to do it and you try to exit. In our case, we see energy different. We see that you can do it, target less, let's say, less resources than before, because, but the main thing that these resources are available. Now you just need to make your investment plans according to, let's say, location where you're going to drill, whether there would be, a need for AI data centers, or that would be a need for just supplying energy to some village. All is possible nowadays.
That's really exciting, and I'll definitely hit you up offline to understand the commercial strategy behind it. But if you can find conventional wells in the U.S. at a lower cost, even if they're less productive, but the returns are higher, I think that's an exciting value proposition. Because you're right, we're so shale dependent and doing these real long horizontal wells, but it's a risky approach. It's big risk, big return, but I think investors are hungry for a more predictable strategy, even if the returns aren't quite as enormous from one well. I like the idea of having multiple smaller opportunities to earn your capital back.
Peter, my idea is following that if you look for energy and you look for oil or you look for gas, also understand that from the same well you can produce much more. You can produce lithium, for instance. You can produce helium. You can produce natural hydrogen. We just so far now with understanding that there's a multi-resource, available just under our feet. It's there. We just
It's
need to,
exciting. We
to
need
change the
lithium, of
mindset.
course. I mean, everybody needs it for EVs. I know the US is importing a lot of our lithium from South America, from down that way, but we for sure there's lithium in the US.
Yeah, yeah. I think that plenty of opportunities in Utah and all of that part. And you just need to go and look for this. We came to lithium in Brian's very funny way. Our technology was never been used before there, but I just read in some academic papers that there would be quite much of helium possibly in lithium brines. So we said, okay, we're in Argentina, why not to go and try? And we tried it. It was amazing. We were shocked. We were shocked. We couldn't believe our eyes when we understood that actually there's so much helium in a shallow reservoirs with the high lithium content. We were like, wow. So now what we are proposing to our customers that produce helium as well. I mean, you can do this. Or you can just make your economics better. And that's all possible. Change the mindset. You don't produce only lithium, you produce also helium. You can do the same helium production from the geothermals. But go to small companies, talk with the small innovators, let's say. They
Yep.
have already some ideas how to turn your geothermal, water into good asset producing helium. It's
Well,
all
that's
there.
that's one thing we have in the States is an abundance of innovators, particularly in the oil and gas space. There's just a lot of small shops throughout Texas and Oklahoma and elsewhere that like to innovate and like to get things done. So I'm hopeful for your tech in the U.S. market for sure. Let's transition into geopolitics and macroeconomic trends a little bit. Of course, energy transition is continuing to progress globally. I think here in the US, we've been less focused on it for the last number of years. While we get, I think, and fully realize our capabilities in terms of exporting energy, the LNG trend is enormous. And now I think we're the largest exporter of gas to Germany officially, which is a big deal. And so we've been really focused on just outright producing vast quantities of energy and becoming a global exporter. But how do you balance that? I mean, your customers want to find more oil and gas. Certainly here in the US, we do, but in other parts of the world, you're seeing people start to try to transition to other types of fuels, which, in my opinion, hasn't been all that effective so far. But would love to get your thoughts on that.
For me, energy transition is just some part of economy which is transiting to somewhere. Like we are like in the process of somewhere. But I don't
Yes.
understand what's going to be the outcome of energy transition, because what we have to do, I think, is to modernize the energy, to modernize how we produce the energy. We don't need to transit anywhere. We just now need to think globally. What do we want to achieve? We need so much energy that it just cannot be anymore produced in conventional way. Soon, when we are all occupied globally by the AI data centers, I mean, we have to produce so much energy to sustain the demand. I think that energy transition should end up very soon. I think we have to talk about modernizing the assets what we have, modernizing technologies, being more innovative in the energy sector, because the way how we now transit testing solar, testing wind turbines, testing geothermal, it's not going to lead us to something that is going to be super effective. We have to find, I would call it energy mix, when you have different resources available just straight at this spot, so utilize maximum all type of energy mix which is possible to utilize in certain spot. Just do it, and that would lead you to very high payback, of course, because you utilize everything what you can get from this acreage. It's number one. And number two, you can be independent. I think that in the geopolitics now we are missing being energy independent. And if we want to be as a humanity, successful, we have to modernize the approach. We have to build new type of expert, new type of leaders in energy sector which are looking at different type of resources simultaneously. Mineral geologists combined together with oil and gas geologists. We are talking about, solar engineers understanding the geological part as well. because this all around in combination of different technologies, I think would bring us a lot of effect, economic effect and independency, and of course a green effect. Here we go, because look how much we suffer from even wind turbines now currently. I heard some people saying that living in Milano, that we are getting so hot summers now because wind doesn't pass anymore through the Alps, and the wind power which is collected on the way wind is moving towards Italy. So I mean, all of the things we have to reconsider, modernize. We have AI which can guide us now. We are much stronger than even 2-3 years before.
I agree. And you mentioned the voracious appetite of AI for electricity and modernize. I love that word. Google announced yesterday they're going to be investing $25 billion in modernizing the grid across the central United States, an area called PJM. That's really exciting because I was, been talking with partners. PJM is a great grid, but it needs modernization and upgrades. And so Google's announcement there, I think, is a big deal. It's showing that as a consumer, a big consumer of energy, they're willing to invest in upgrading and modernizing our energy systems.
It's a very good shift towards different type of energy, and I think that such drivers like Google, such big innovative, or let's say companies, they have the power to change things, and we need to listen to them, and we need to innovate according to their plans, because they just give us the trend, right? But we can pick it up and we can use it. So I think that they're doing the right way. Modernizing is number one, but then rethinking about the approach itself. I think that the more tools they have, the easier for them will be to build better plans.
For sure. Yeah. Pennsylvania, interestingly, sort of, they call it the Saudi Arabia of natural gas. There's so much natural gas there, but we've been challenged in our pipeline infrastructure, so we haven't been able to use it fully. And I think this announcement will help the U.S. unlock a lot of that gas that's been stranded up in the Appalachian region, and also bring job creation to one of the poorest regions in the country. So it's
That
very
would be
important.
excellent. Of course, that would be excellent. But again, gas, as I said, we differentiate gas and oil very easily. So we have customers that, for instance, say, okay, Dennis, we don't need oil. We need only gas. Or we have customers, I just met yesterday one customer, he said, Dennis, please, no gas, only oil. No worries. We
That's
can.
exciting. You can differentiate specifically for the electricity sector in this country. Oil is not very desirable. We want gas because it's cleaner burning, and we can burn it in a combustion turbine and capture the waste heat and be very efficient with it. So it's for electricity, which AI needs a lot of, gases is king in the
Yeah.
US anyway.
Yeah. And the gas now, look, gas can be obtained even close by, like to the towns, to the villages. Even, it's a new concept that we are proposing, because now you can identify hidden anomaly, you can understand what is the depth of that and drill the well. One well may be enough for 50 years. Why not? Put your,
Why not?
just next to the town or the city, just put your one well and put AI data center. That's how it works. That's the future. You don't need
That's
to go for
exciting.
big fields somewhere else. It's all nearby. So that's how I see it. Energy is going to be available.
Very, very exciting. Good stuff, Dennis. Well, I mean, this has been incredible. We've touched on you, your company, geopolitics, and I think really a point to the future. But if there's one trend maybe that the audience hasn't seen or thought of, what are your ideas about sort of the future of energy that people aren't thinking about yet?
You ask a really interesting question. Thank you for this. I think that we come someday at the point when we can produce energy everywhere and it's all available. And, look at just even helium. Helium, by the science, contains so much energy that nothing else contains. And if we just lucky and we have access to this technology that can extract energy from the helium molecule, we are receiving energy at every spot of our life. And that's what I'm trying to say, that we have to put our efforts, like as humanity, to look to something easy, more accessible type of energy. And I think that's all around us. We just need to learn using AI for thoughts, using, additional studies, maybe forgetting sometimes about the science, but being more open how to extract energy from something that is just nearby.
So, if I hear you correctly, there's a lot of helium. It's everywhere, and it's a very dense energy molecule that maybe we haven't fully appreciated the value of.
Right, right. There's like 5.24 ppm average concentration of helium in air, and below our feet would be much more helium, and that's where we can produce energy from, of course. But we have to still develop that part, how to extract this energy. We are very close to this now because we know about hydrogen, and we are looking for natural hydrogen. But still, helium molecule has more energy. So we have to think how we would be developing technology to have more access to the helium energy.
Interesting. That's exciting. Well,
Yes.
Dennis, this has been great. It's been a pleasure having you on Energy Superheroes. Could you tell the audience how to get a hold of you and maybe the types of customers that should be reaching out?
Yes, yes. Okay, I'm available at LinkedIn. Please welcome, visit my page, contact me. I would be more than happy to get to know and to explain you what we are doing and how we do the things. And of course, geologic.com, that's our company website. So we are there. You can read some information as well from their site. That's where we are. And the companies, we are more interested, of course, in talking with innovators, with the investors, with those companies who are targeting the acquisition of the land. Because I think that, of course, we help a lot oil and gas companies. We help a lot small and large companies. But I think the future is, behind those small teams which have acreage, want to invest money, not big, but small money, to get access to energy. So they are always welcome to get in touch with me, and I'm very open to discuss all the possible opportunities in your country, wherever you are.
That's exciting. Dennis, this has really been a pleasure. This has been Denis Krysanov with Geologic on Energy Superheroes. Thanks for being on.
Thank you, Peter. It was really great pleasure to discuss. Thank you.
Thank you.